Click the links to join channel here or over at Subscribestar. Thanks to the recent members. So what exactly would a Passion of the Christ sequel be? Jesus died. Yikes, my guy. Touch grass. Oh, that image is from Dogma from Kevin Smith. It was a pretty solid movie. So Saint Mel Gibson with the Passion of the Christ Part 2, The Resurrection. First of all, thanks to everyone over the past 3 months who have helped the channel. It's been great, but I also know that YouTube doesn't last forever, as some people in the comments have also clued into. And I'm on Rumble and Odyssey. Yeah, the channel's been around for longer than the past 3 months, but the past 3 months have been kind of weird. So the Passion triggers the Mary Sue, and Mel Gibson has triggered Hollywood for like 20 years, which is a good thing. How can anyone not love Mel Gibson? Anyone who ticks off Hollywood is practically a saint in my book. And the past 3 months, like if I knew YouTube was going to be like this, I would have taken it more seriously in the beginning, but it's my fault. So triggering Hollywood is like saying that you're making the demons angry. The Hollywood media machine is very concerned about trying to cancel Mel Gibson. Like the articles written about him, these people just hate him for some reason. He had a drinking issue and allegedly said some nonsense when he was drunk. Like who in Hollywood didn't have a chemical, issue at some point in their career? Who did he say any of these things? Who knows? The media lies about everything. Pretty much anything they hate is a good thing. And who hasn't said some unfortunate dirty jokes deep in our cups, dropped a unfortunate word here or there. And to Hollywood, there is no forgiveness. They never move on, which is one of the reasons that you never apologize to SJWs. Plus, I think they're demons who are wearing human costumes. They will always hold it over your head. They'll use it to manipulate you, which is why you say something like, well, yes, I have forgiven myself and moved on. I don't dwell on the past. That's just toxic guilt-based behavior, and I choose to live in the light and align my chakras or something and get yourself one of those red wristband type of thing. Get yourself a bunch of wristbands. It couldn't hurt. And so the first film was in 2004. We had a $30 million budget, which due to Federal Reserve inflation is twice that today. But I do think Mel is going to cover that in his Rothschilds movie covering the history of the Federal Reserve and how the banks enslaved us in 1913. I am sure the media will love that movie also. So the movie covered the last few hours of the life of Christ. It was pretty popular. It made 20 times its budget, so that's pretty decent by anyone's metric. But the media is made up of followers of the Antichrist who sacrifice babies to Moloch, so they didn't like the movie or St. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson has triggered the media for a long time because they enjoy lashing out at Christians and the beautiful European people, but when you just gently poke fun back at them, they lose their minds. They really don't understand how their own anti-white hatred causes people to also hate the media. They think that idea is inconceivable, as if nobody is ever going to hold a mirror up to them. The difference in the media in 2004 is noticeable. Whatever. They were always baby blood drinking vampires, but they tried to be a bit more balanced about it back then. The media had more power and influence back then because now everybody's got a website or social media footprint. It dilutes the media. Every minute you're listening to some asshole on YouTube is a minute you're not listening to some asshole on CNN, which is good because they're parasites who are spreading globalist propaganda, which I suspect will not be allowed to say stuff like that on YouTube in a few months because they keep increasing the censorship. And if you say that you don't trust the media or government, that's a far-right dog whistle because the left knows that they control both, or they think they control both. Really, it's a question of being puppets to the puppet masters and not looking up and seeing that someone else is pulling the strings, or the case of the left wing being, oh, hey, are we the useful idiots? Why are we marching to a gulag? Yeah, hey, what are you going to do? History just kind of has a way of repeating itself. So saying the media doesn't like a movie about Jesus Christ is saying the insanely obvious. It's like saying that vampires don't like eating the Eucharist in the church under a skylight. So the part 2 is set in the 3 days post-death, which if I remember the New Testament, right? He goes to hell, and it's been a while since I read it. He goes to hell and he's got a visit, which was a cool part of the story because it shows his power that he can walk through worlds and just has a vacation in hell because to him, hell means different things than it would mean to us because he is living in different planes of existence simultaneously. Though I kind of feel like maybe it might be time to reread the New Testament or at least the Book of Revelation. So not to say the obvious, the book really covers how weird it is to try to explain Christ to humans, to see through a glass darkly. It's weirder than I think we can fully understand. And even if you're not religious, reading the New Testament is not a waste of your time. When I was younger, like you go through that phase, you read a bunch of different religions, and then you read the New Testament. It's like, there's something going on here. Where exactly he'll go in the sequel, I mean, going to hell transcends space time. You could glimpse the past, the future. All the timelines could be laid out in visions. I mean, there's some fantastic storytelling ability going on there. I have no idea exactly what it's going to be about. Maybe the last days, the end of the world, and judgment, which seems really fitting for the stuff we're seeing around us today. I mean, just really apropos. So, having it set in modern day, he could see all the filthy degeneracy and hopefully send lightning bolts from his eyes and cleanse the world of filth. There was a guy who wrote a series of books about the rapture that was made into a movie with Nicholas. It's funny because I say I'm not religious, but I've read a lot of these religious books. He wrote that series of books. It was really, really fun stuff. Nicholas Cage did the movie about that. It's just like I don't know. Biblical times? Are we living in biblical times? Honestly, it does feel a little. It feels like it's getting a little biblical 30 out there. Anyway, so I don't care what it's about. If it triggers the liberals, I am totally on board with it. Same with the Rothschilds movie that's coming up with Shia LaBeouf. I do know that we have to have Kanye West as one of the angels. I am absolutely serious. I want Kanye with wings, smiting infidels left and right. Hashtag Kanye 2024. I am super turbo Christian to the extent that it triggers the idiots at the Mary Sue. So, it seems like everyone at the Mary Sue is actually mentally deranged. I really don't understand how they stay in business unless there's some kind of weird financial, like a tax dodge going on there. Anyway, so I mean, the amount of traffic that's going through it, it's not quite making sense that they're always advertising for new people and new writers and new editors and stuff. Anyway, so it's like springtime for the Austrian Corporal or something. Anyway, the first Passion at the time made $600 million, so that was a solid hit. I think it was an R-rated movie, I guess, and it did really well for an R-rated movie, and it was probably the biggest Christian movie ever. Though, like I said, it wasn't really my cup of tea. I saw the Gospel of John on Odyssey several times, which was a really excellent film, and it's not as violent as the Passion. It covers the Gospel of John. It covers the whole kind of thing in a 3 hour movie. I've seen it several times. Again, for somebody who's not religious, I watch a lot of religious movies, but it's a really good film, and it has the ending, and it just kind of it's like we get the idea. He was tortured to death, but it's like that's not the main part of the movie. It's the whole totality of the circumstances. But do I say it? No, I won't. It's funny when the people you watch the movies and read about it, and then you watch like the Hollywood review about their issues with these movies, and I'll just say that they're really focused on Pontius Pilate and just him alone. Don't say anything in the comments. So the best thing about the Passion and the sequel is that the whining of the media about how much they hate Jesus. Yes, we know you hate Jesus. You're globalist demons. We're well aware of that. They keep saying that Christ is not white. That seems to be their bon mot, their parting shot. I'm not sure why they care. They're not Christians, or why they would think anyone cares. Never listen to atheists about anything, but I mean, for sure, argue with them to the extent of trolling them left and right. I would literally portray Christ as blonde haired and blue eyed just to trigger them. I would like some kind of Chad meme. I would make all the disciples out of Swedish central casting. I suppose making the Rothschilds movie and the Passion is enough for Mel. I don't know what else he could do to trigger them. Maybe make a well, never mind. So I suspect that Mel Gibson is already on the kill list. If they can make it look natural, they don't want to go full Hillary Clinton with it. I don't know how old I'll say that actress he got into it with in Hollywood is, but I would throw her in the Passion just for giggles. She got triggered when Mel allegedly was joking around with her over some nonsense, but she also has a history of being a klepto thief who gets her rocks off from stealing, so she's probably a lying whore. She was great in Heathers, though. Everyone pretends to be so triggered over a bunch of nonsense. They're not, but they do want attention. The funny thing about the liberals is that they're not Christians. Like, not I don't know what the opposite of Christian is. They're not even a little bit of Christian. They're not going to go see the movie, but they are triggered by the idea of the movie just existing. I don't even think the Mary Sue will see the movie just to review it. It's going to come out in a year or two. The movie is not going to do anywhere near as good as the first one, I don't think, because the Wu Flu's got something to do with it. Like people are kind of dipping out of Hollywood in general. The idea of like going to a theater and sitting in a theater and, you know, the age of the Wu Flu for 2 hours, even with like, I don't know. I just don't think people are into it as much as they used to be. And even in 20 years, the country has lost a lot of its religion as the country seems to descend into Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom America. Yeah, I mean, doesn't it? Am I crazy here? Am I taking crazy pills here? I don't think I'm taking crazy pills here. But for St. Mel Gibson, I'm willing to risk getting a bit under the weather to go see a movie in the theater, which I haven't seen it's since the beginning of this whole Wu Flu thing. Especially if it helps trigger the soy people, that makes it all worth it. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all next episode.